deal breakers can occur in many aspects of life. It's a well-known cause of problems in personal relationships that occur when there is a negotiation that neither party can accept. Unfortunately, a negotiation often never takes place when something that could be a deal breaker stands in the way. One partner merely decides they had enough and leaves. Let's review various aspects of deal breakers in relationships. The first thing to consider is if the issue really is a problem, or if it's just something one is imagining. It could be due to commitment issues. One's own attitude can cause indecision even when nothing is seriously wrong. We need to be very careful when determining if a situation is one to avoid. It could be that we are afraid of it for personal reasons and merely making excuses. On the other hand, questionable circumstances need to be considered when moving ahead with a relationship. It's helpful to be aware of irrational feelings that could hold us back, but we also need to recognize when we have an actual deal breaker. Frankly, I can tell you that I struggled with a habit of finding fault in people to avoid commitment in my personal relationships. So, I went to the other extreme and spent a lot of time in bad relationships. And I held on anyway because I was aware that I might be finding fault, just to avoid commitment. One might think I didn't have a commitment issue since I held on anyway. However, I stayed in relationships with the wrong people. It took a lot of insight to become aware that some attitudes in people are actually toxic. We need to have an understanding of situations that can cause trouble. But we also need to appreciate it when it's not so bad. I'll give you a few examples of issues that can be misunderstood, and my interpretation of the attitudes involved. When we are in a relationship, we expect kindness, compassion, and consideration from our partner. Yes, you do want to be with someone you can depend on, but it has to be someone you find enjoyable to be with. It should be someone with whom you can share your life and dreams. It's understandable how you might be feeling if these things are not present in your relationship, especially when your partner is clueless. The only way to get past the dilemma is to talk about it. If your partner has an annoying behavior, it could develop into a huge disappointment that needs to be worked out with a good heart-to-heart talk. And it would help to focus on what's troubling you, to help your partner visualize your feelings. You need to share your deepest feelings and discuss your concerns. For example, are you never satisfied when you try to agree on things? Or, are you afraid your relationship could result in future problems, and you don't see any potential for growth? What if you have feelings of irritation? It's crucial to share all those feelings. However, if your partner is in denial when you try to discuss it with them, the effort goes nowhere. If you cannot find a realistic solution, it could be a deal breaker. Before you give up, try to be clear about where you're coming from. Is your partner's behavior based on your expectations? Or is your partner doing things to frustrate you? For example, I once dated a woman who had temper tantrums like a child. She jumped up and down, screaming when things didn't go her way. I tried hard to accept it, but I was dissatisfied with the outbursts and felt for sure that attitude was a deal breaker. We will always have disappointments in life, and we need to deal with them constructively. Discontentment can be a result of having flawed expectations. So we need to come to terms with that, if that's what it is. However, we also need to appreciate who we are, and not let people abuse our kind nature. If you find that you can't talk with your partner to resolve issues, and can't even agree on things, one of you might be a non-listener. That will hinder the ability to deal with the issues constructively. As with any negotiation, Both parties need to have an open mind about the problems. We need to appreciate the reason for the disagreements. We need to express our opinions in a meaningful way without prejudice. Preconceived notions may stand in the way of any ability to hear the essential needs to be met. Outside influence might also interfere. Either party may be more concerned about an outsider's point of view. They may need to appease and accommodate someone else who is not closely related but still has a strong influence for other reasons. It's crucial to value the needs of one another. In any relationship, both partners must respect one another and appreciate each other's needs. I know this only too well. I had a friend who never cared about the value of my time and would keep me waiting for her when we had plans. It was always a huge disappointment when I took the blame for being late, and she never spoke up to admit it was her fault. Do you have situations where you are treated that way? I think that's not acceptable. Partners in a relationship should support one another. If you feel a potential deal breaker is holding you back with your relationship, and you want to figure out what to do, give some thought to the following ideas. Is it useless? Is it important? Is it worth it? Is it possible? All these questions will undoubtedly bring up strong feelings that will guide you to a clear outlook. But then, if you still feel you're involved in a situation that could be a deal breaker, look at it from both sides with an open mind. Your partner might be looking at it with similar feelings, and you can work on it together so both of you can appreciate how the other is reacting. With understanding and commitment, deal breakers could be overlooked for the benefit of an emotionally healthy and everlasting time together.